I think that's a really interesting point, Polly. Like when I think in terms of from my own personal experience, and I know I do this from time to time as well, that you occasionally find yourself in a situation where you are kind of defending something. If you're bringing something to people which you believe they will like, that they may need, that they will enjoy, then in some ways the presentation of that idea can be tied up. And I think it's pride. I think it's probably pride that comes in, if that's the right word.
I think it's
Um,
ego more than pride.
and ego, okay, and then well, ego says that I've given a lot of time within myself in my own inner space, constructing this really quite elaborate idea, and I've featured a whole bunch of imaginary versions of all of the people I'm going to present it to. That you've all been in there as well, and then we come out on stage and talk about it, and then people have got like two or three things wrong with it, and you're sort of going, oh, ow, like,
How very dare you?
ow, like, oh, like, and it's, oh my goodness, and that's, potentially it can lead to recrimination where it's, oh, look, I really should have thought about that, and I'll just have to, and you can choose to just go back into that inner space again and, rebuild a whole new other ivory castle that looks better this time, and then try and presenting that one as well. Whereas each time your poor old audience are looking back at you going, like, I really love you, Dave. I want you to succeed. I'd love for this to work. But like, I have to contribute to your idea because like I'm part of your solution and therefore part of your problem as well. So, every now and again, I just notice those moments in my own experience where you kind of take a deep breath, as you say, and just go, right. So yeah, that's the power of listening again, isn't it? That's the power of just hanging back and leaving yourself open, that you can open those boundaries. That the physical barrier between you and everyone else has got really little to do with relationships. It's how your heart and your mind and your spirit are communicating with those people. That's where the transport can occur, and that they can say things to you that you don't agree with, or you think might be a bit half-baked or not quite the way I saw it, but they may end up contributing to your idea and ultimately gain their support and help you move forward and help you develop this thing, which is about connecting people together anyway.
But of course, when someone else contributes.
Sorry, that was a very, very long explanation.
No, I'm laughing so much because it is a beautiful way to describe that citadel we live in, where we're the boss. We've got all these people, often who are quite angry and oppressive inner voices, who are shouting us down, telling us we're hopeless and we'll never make it. So we're placating them, we're building this stuff for them. And then we come out and we're already been through the whole ideation war process internally. And of course you come out to the stage and you're defensive and you're not listening because it's like, I've done this already, So I've never heard it described like that, and it made me so happy because it really is like, part of it also is that we're so attached to being right, and we're so attached to sort of having people like us in the main, that we don't want people to say, oh, actually, I think your idea stinks. Because we can't differentiate that they're saying, I think your idea stinks, I don't think you stink. And so instantly, and I've been to many a pitching competition where I've seen people in the question part of their pitch where they've had massive gaping blind spots, being really angry and defensive with the judges. And it's like, oh, whoa, little doggy. It's like, we're here.
Yeah.
And then you know that founder is going to be difficult because that founder's not ready to collaborate and to listen. But I think the really important point that you made is that, there is nothing without the customer. And this is why it makes so much sense in that lean startup and UX design world, that you start with a question. You don't ever start with something that you can drop on your foot, because you need to go in with a totally open space to work within, to find out it. And, they talk about it, when I say they, like that sector of knowledge talks about it like you've got a science experiment. So your hypothesis is that people would like to record audiobooks. And you have to go and prove or disprove that hypothesis, or validate or invalidate that, which in that way makes it kind of a little less emotional, because it's kind of like, so if you were to do this, would you use it, yes or no? It's like you can really validate and invalidate quickly. And then it's like, okay, great. So I didn't just spend $100,000 on that app. So what is it you need? And so in this process of constant hypothesis proving or disproving, validating or invalidating, you build an actual picture of what the problem is, what some of the opportunities are. And again, in the design thinking model, that model is some of the first part, and the big work that's done is done around empathy. how do you actually empathize with your customer? And so in my model, that would be about the compassionate model of how do you work in compassion with someone from a Buddhist perspective of like, what is their needs? What are the things that they want, rather than kind of pushing it out there. But all of it really in contemporary business speaks to customers and compassion and empathy, and understanding that being the first port of call. And it doesn't make sense to me that you wouldn't want to do it like that, because I don't get why, I mean, I do get why people do it, but I think that it's so much simpler if you just go through that much more humbling experience of just being open and listening. And, you know, that's really the crux of it. And people are so invested in you by the time you actually get to product time that they're falling over themselves to buy it and to support you, because they knew they were part of that. And it speaks directly to that part of the ego which wants someone to hear you and to see you. So when you see and hear your customers with respect and then give them what they want, it's 100% formula for success.